So today's topic was the evolving future of productivity. What we really did is took a look back and a look forward. We spent a lot of time discussing what are directions and trends that we've seen. I did a bunch of research and pulled together some videos from the 60s, the 70s, and 80s to really help people understand what's changed with technologies and ultimately how it really helps them focus on people, process, and technology, and helping them understand how to get more effective improvements through technology, and hopefully a little bit of humor as well.
It's often going to be in a balance of one of three different areas, or I would argue a combination of all three of these. So I could look at, for example, people, they're part of the story, process, and technology.
Well, how do you really define productivity? What does productivity mean? If you ask a bunch of different folks, you'll tend to get remarkably different answers. Sometimes, though, it's just getting something done that traditionally was much harder to do. Now, historically, I always believe you can tell a lot about a society by how they reflect things in their arts. And specifically, I love how technology has been reflected in movies, in TV, and pop culture, because it tells us a lot about what we like about it, but it also tells us sort of what we fear about it to some degree. The key thing to note is when the Jetsons came out in 1962, they gave themselves a very, very easy target. They said, oh, we're going to set it in 2062. We're going to give ourselves 100 years. We can't possibly go wrong. And one of the coolest parts of what they had, what was probably the single coolest thing about being a Jetson? I heard some people shout out, robot made, awesome, but also flying car. Sometimes even robot made in the flying car? Oh, come on, what's better than that? Now, the funny part is, flying cars have been synonymous with that technology approach. Now, sure, some people have the iRobots at home and got a little bit of stuff cleaned up and whatnot. It's not quite as cool as the flying cars. The funny thing is, over time, we've had this love-hate relationship with the flying car concept. In fact, I went through and I dug around through a number of different ads and talked about where are we seeing things.
It is the year 2000, but where are the flying cars? I was promised flying cars. I don't see any flying cars. Why? Because billions of people all over the world can work together on the web 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't need flying cars, but you will need a different kind of software.
I know some folks that work at UPS, and the amount of effort that's put into, for example, the driver's seat in a UPS truck, and how quickly they could actually get in and get out and get rebuckled. Because guess what? If they could save an extra 15 seconds for every package drop-off they do, what's the difference going to be over time? It's going to add up remarkably. Other organizations, it's all about the technology. For example, think about something like Amazon. Amazon Prime has physically changed my life. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I know if I need anything, I can have it in 2 days or less.
So, am I very excited about the opportunities that exist around big data? Absolutely. Am I excited about what's potential with social networking? Absolutely. Mobility? Absolutely. But without those top two portions on the top, I will tell you that the technology means nothing. And I'll tell you the one thing, and I'll speak for them, but the one thing that's different today for Ed and for Chris and for all the folks at AdNet, they spend significantly more time today focused on that larger portion. What are your employees looking to do? How do we enable you to do those things? The one that I love, and I've actually heard people try to pull this off, and how many of you have actually heard this, or better yet have actually said this, have done the, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, I was on mute.
I think it went well. It's always refreshing when you hear about people having the same challenges. So having folks forget to mute themselves or take themselves off of mute on a conference call, it's something we've all experienced on a consistent basis. Most productivity areas are things that people deal with on a daily basis, and you could often tell by the laughter, they've been in those painful situations, and it's always good to focus on ways to improve and make it better.
Number one, think about your people, process, and technology. And think about where you could be most impactful, whether it's at the individual level, the team level, the whole company. Remember, success leaves clues. Look for organizations that are doing well today. This event and the social networking that happens, I will guarantee you, whatever project you're about to start on, somebody in this audience here today has just completed that project. And that's some great data to share with you. hey, if I had a chance to do it all over again, here's what I would have done differently. And if you remember one thing other than flying cars and that hacker website, because that was kind of cool too. If you don't define a strategy, one will be defined for you.
I think that the biggest thing we'll likely do is talk about the faster ways. How do you increase the speed of being able to take advantage of it? I think one of the challenges with a lot of these technologies, people start to talk about it, but I know Ed LaPrade shared some numbers that many businesses are only getting 18% or 9% of their primary workloads to the cloud. So I'd love to see over the next several years how much more starts to move to the cloud and what we can do to make it easier and faster for customers to be able to take advantage of that.